ball is a beauty, and Saka's onto it. He checks away from Robertson. She's Arsenal in front. Bukayo Saka makes his mark again at once.
Hello and welcome to Whatever the Weather. Listener, we're recording on Sunday the 27th of October, following Arsenal's 2-2 draw with Liverpool at the Emirates Stadium. Ensemble cast this evening, I'm joined by Dan.
Hello.
By Keith.
Hello.
By James.
Hello.
And by Tom.
Hello.
Nice. Okay, so let's get right into it. I didn't enjoy it at all.
Why not? Why did you not enjoy it?
It was just too much stress. I can't deal with the stress, James. It's too much.
Was the stress because it seemed like it was being billed as a 6-pointer, even though we're only in October?
Yeah, I think the drop points away to Bournemouth, coupled with the drop points away to City and at home to Brighton, it feels like we're beyond what we were last season at this point, and progress is not being made. I think we've got reasons for that. We've got injuries, but it was a bit of a bitty game at times. We were very unlucky with injuries. It really disrupted us, and I think a draw was a fair result.
I'll say one thing that really worried me about that is like the, just continuation of injuries. I mean, like, we saw Gabriel go off, we saw Timber go off. Yeah, it's not a thing you like to see when we've always talked about how we have a really solid defense and they're dropping like flies. It really does worry me. It really does.
Worried all of us, I think. I think we're all worried. I mean, to lose Timber and then Gabriel, then Timber in the second half, just completely derailed us at times, I think, today.
Seeing as we're not going to bother talking about the game, we're going to go straight to injuries. Can I just say, our injury crisis a bit of a myth, seeing as the only two players we missed that would have probably potentially started today would be Calafiori and Ødegaard. Obviously, Saliba was suspended.
Yeah,
Saka wasn't 100% fit.
Well, for a man who wasn't 100% fit.
Well, he started off, but then he disappeared after that.
Come on, man! If you score
Liverpool had three first-team injuries, by the way, in Diego Jota, Chiesa. Whether he's a first teamer yet, I don't know. But obviously, Alisson, their goalkeeper, as well, was injured. So, is the injury thing being overplayed a bit? Do we think, or not?
Well,
you seem to be on the straight away from the off. We're an absolute injury crisis.
The disruption they caused, though. I mean, to lose two players in the second half to injuries, and obviously, I don't think Saka was 100% fit. You can just distorts everything. I think we're not playing with any rhythm at the moment. It's very stop-start, and I just think the game will flow today at any point for us, really.
Well, firstly, how good was it that we kept 11 men on the pitch? That's always a good start, right? How good is that? We actually finished the game with 11 men.
I know.
Always a bonus in a game of football.
Unreal.
But yeah, the game was a bit stop-start and the injuries don't help. I felt like we had 11 men on the pitch, but there was times in that second half where we played like we had 10 men, which I wasn't very pleased about. For some reason, we decided to sit back and just allowed Liverpool all of this pressure. And that second goal, you could kind of see it coming, which was unfortunate. I mean, it's not ideal that you end the game as a back four, as Partey as right back, Kivior, Ben White, and Lewis Skelly as your back four at the end when they get that goal. It's unfortunate, but is what it is. But injuries, we can talk about it, and yeah, it's a bit unfortunate, but Mikel has had 4 to 5 years now to build this squad, and if the squad is not good enough still to cope with a few injuries, then maybe the squad's not as good as what we thought it is. I don't want to be too pessimistic about the result because we didn't lose, but I felt the opportunity was there to win, and I don't know. I think we kind of gave the game away a bit there.
I don't like our mindset the second half. We were far too deep at times and from the start really the second half. That's where I think the injuries come in. There's just no rhythm to us at the moment, and I think we were just playing way too deep. And I think Arteta should have made some attacking subs way before he did. I mean, bringing on Jesus and Murray about 8 minutes ago. Why bring them on 10 minutes earlier than that?
So you're asking for an attacking substitution when we're 2-1 up and trying to see out a
No,
game.
because we were 2-1 up, admittedly, but we weren't creating anything at that point. And we were just going back and back, and we were inviting Liverpool on us, and they were
I mean,
dominating the ball.
their goal came from us committing a lot of players forward. You know,
Well,
I don't buy the narrative that we just sat back and tried to absorb the whole second half. Arsenal were still attacking, and Arsenal were still looking for it. But you know, we were asking a lot of Saka. He stayed on the pitch much longer than I thought he would, lasting till the 85th minute.
it should have been taken off way before that, to be honest.
I mean, looking at the rest of the team that was out there, I mean, yeah, Marino and Rice, like, it's on the stodgier side of a midfield. You know, it's not, you don't have the creative thrust there really from those guys, but they were working so hard. Rice was reading the game beautifully, like he always does, cutting out a lot of attacks before they could get started. I think Mikel just really wanted to try and hang on to that scoreline. I mean, the fact he threw on the forwards in the 85th minute was his attempt to win the game, and they could have. You know, I thought, you know, it was a bit of a jump in the build up to the disallowed goal where he's climbed all over the dude's back. You can see why that wasn't allowed. We definitely should have had a corner right at the end. You know, we could have had a 97th minute winner. The linesman decided it didn't come off the Liverpool fella when it clearly did.
Yeah. Well,
So,
we're not allowed those, Tom, because we're not Man City. Like,
Do you think in regards to the substitutions, and obviously we've dived straight through the injuries and then, the lack of subs or the quality of the subs. Do you not think it was a case that a lot of the narrative around this game was that this was, as you say, Tom, a potential 6-pointer? It was a must not lose. So therefore, from a point of being at 2-1 or even at 2-2, could we really fully open up and take the risk to try and win the game, knowing that you leave the back door open to potentially lose it? Because had we lost this game, would have been what, 7 points behind Liverpool would it have been, and 5 behind City after 9 games? That would have been, we put ourselves in a bit of a position where we're looking up a bit of a mountain to climb. So I think there needs to be a bit of context of where we are in the season, where we are as a squad, and where we are in the status of a match. I absolutely wouldn't have taken off Saka any earlier. I thought he was still our best and most productive outlet. He always is. That's the reason why he plays every game, because he is our best player.
100%.
You can argue Martin Odegaard in there as well. I mean, I've long had this theory about that we should rotate Saka. And Dan has shouted me down vociferously in the past that you play your best players, and now that is what he is, isn't he? Let's not beat around the bush. And speaking of Bukayo Saka, that first goal,
Whoa.
reminded you what
Fantastic.
we've been missing.
Touch. Absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
There was a lot to love about that goal. You can see when Ben White had the ball and Saka was just kind of pointing behind the fullback, going, "Knock it in, knock it in, knock it in." Timed his run absolutely perfectly. Just kept the right body shape to throw Robertson off, and the little cut inside and finish was glorious, absolutely glorious. Took 8 minutes, like you guys said, to show exactly what we've been missing. And I think Arne Slot said after the game, it's like, "Oh, there's not much we can do about that. That's a moment of individual
We're
brilliance."
going to hear a lot this week, I'm sure, about how Trent Alexander-Arnold's pass for in the build-up to the Liverpool equaliser. Ben White's was just as good for that first goal. A sumptuous ball over the top. I think it's about time he got a little bit of.
Oh mate, he needs his flowers for that, definitely.
Yeah,
Like,
someone on the podcast last week said he's not going to be in our first 11, and yeah, very peculiarly.
Who was that then?
Well, Dan, over to you.
Well, no, I mean, look, we all love Ben White. That's clear. However, I feel like if everyone's fit, he doesn't make my personal starting 11. You can argue amongst yourselves. Couldn't give
Mm.
monkeys. I think it. I love Ben White, but
Uh,
I
do you know
just
what?
feel,
Do you know what? I want to come and say something on this.
and I
And
think he had a really good game today as well. By the way,
mm,
I thought
I
he
know.
slotted in really well at centre back. Didn't put a foot wrong. Played that amazing pass, and
Mm.
that's how versatile he is, and what a great player he is.
But one thing I was going to mention about that is that like we were going into this game, we were all like dreading like Saliba not being there, right? And don't get me wrong, I love the guy. Saliba's fucking brilliant, but I don't think Saliba makes that pass like Ben White did. I just don't think he does.
No, I agree.
You
Yeah.
know,
I agree.
and it's if you were to sort of talk about the versatility of the squad, or it's annoying that we don't have enough. I mean, ultimately, look, we don't have enough players. We keep talking about
Graham, I'm going to have to come
you
in
know
there. I'm
mm,
I'm sorry to come over you a bit there. I'm not so sure. I think we've got at the start of the season we said we were pretty stacked in defence.
mm,
We've got decent numbers in midfield. Attack seems a little bit weak, and I still think that probably is the case. Defensively, I think we all know it's built on the partnership of Gabriel and Saliba, right? And
mm.
no one's going to take anything away from those
But
two.
that's my concern,
The
James,
the
is that
the
like
the thing that we've got in reserve of that is we've got a lot of players that are quite versatile that can play a multitude of positions.
mm,
So you've got Ben White who can play right back. He showed today he can play centre back. He's played defensive midfield for Leeds before, so that is in his locker. Obviously, hasn't done it with
mm,
us. Declan Rice has played centre back before. Thomas Partey has played right
mm.
back. And we'll come on to him later on,
Oh,
by the
we
way.
will
Um,
absolutely, yeah.
Jakub Kiwior can play centre back or left back. Timber can play all across the back line. Zinchenko can play left back and plays attacking midfield. Well, I say can play left back. He nominally starts at left back, but tends to play attacking midfield for
Yeah.
Ukraine, but he's more of a midfielder. Takahiro Tomiyasu again, like Yuri and Timber, can play all across the back line. Now, Tomiyasu, unfortunately, this is the first and last mention he's going to get on this podcast because until he's fit again, there's no point mentioning. But again, we've got a lot of players that can play a lot of different combinations, and I think we were all a little bit kind of waiting eagerly at the lineup to see who we were going to put where. I actually did say to Dan in midweek. Because we went to the Shakhtar game, I said that I thought we might have it might be a case where Partey plays right back, and our kind of doubts on that were, well, that you leave yourselves a little bit short in midfield because Partey's actually been quite good in midfield because he's had a run of games under his belt. And obviously Liverpool are a big team, and their midfield has sort of come together well this season. But yeah, I think to come in on that point, Graham, no, I think the defence, it was a case of who was going to play where. I think if this had been any other game, to be honest, I think Yuri and Timber probably would have played at centre back, but I think he
Mm.
played left back because of the concern of Salah. To go back onto that, I mean, look, yeah, the starting lineup. Did any of you have any kind of major concerns with that? I mean, I was pretty happy with the lineup, to be honest.
I was quite pleased with it as well. And actually, Tom and I spoke about this the other day. We were like, oh God, are we gonna have like Zinchenko versus Salah again? And we're like, please no. Like,
Yeah.
so my initial thought with the lab was like, well, I'm glad he's not gone that way. Because that would have seriously worried me.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just not great when you're putting a guy coming off an injury into his first game back into chasing Salah up and down the pitch all game.
Yeah, agree with that.
It's no wonder he ended up injured.
That really showed today. I felt. I was obviously happy to see him back, but
Mm.
I don't think he was at the level to deal with a Mo Salah yet. Missed the last 3 games. He looked had a bit of rust.
Ropey.
Yeah, I mean, when the lineup was announced, obviously I was so glad to see Timber back. Partey at right back, I was concerned. Luis Diaz up against Thomas Partey. I was thinking that could be trouble, but especially in that first half, completely proved me wrong. That battle, that was a concern. They pointed out the battle between the fullbacks and the wingers, and I think a lot of I thought Martinelli had the beating of Trent at times. Konate had to come over and deal with that because I don't think Trent could. I felt Saka had the beating of Robertson all day, every day. And Diaz couldn't get anything out of Partey, especially in that first half. I think in the second half he got something, but and yeah, Timber. tried to deal with Salah. I felt Salah bullied him a bit, and I just don't think he was up to the speed to deal with Mo Salah yet.
There was one turn, wasn't there? I think in the second half where Salah got the ball on the halfway line
Yeah,
and span in behind him, and that was where it was
yeah,
like, oh shit.
yeah,
Yeah,
and
and I think if you're right, I think if he was at absolute top speed, that wouldn't happen. But
yeah,
it did, and he recovered well, to be fair. But yeah,
I mean, I'm glad he started. We're all glad he was playing. But should he have played as long as he did? Maybe he should have been taken off after 60 minutes
Mm.
and pre-planned sub. That's what I would have done. But again, with an injury like that, he could have easily lost the 90 minutes, but this time he just didn't, unfortunately. Let's just hope it's not a long injury, like a few weeks. Hopefully it's just a week or two, maybe even less. But yeah, I mean, Gabriel, I think, was more concerning of the two injuries, I think.
Oh, 100%.
Because you could see him with a massive ice pack on his knee, which that's not a good sign. Whereas Timber, I think maybe he just went off because obviously he had his ACL last year, and maybe he's just being overcautious. But Gabriel, that's the one I'm worried about the most, really.
Gabriel, I think I'm going to go on the side that just looks like he jarred his knee. I wouldn't. He could
Mm.
be out. That could be one where he could be out for 3 days or 3 months. You just don't know. Hopefully 3 days. But yeah, we've got three very tough games on paper away from home coming up. So
Oh, four, mate. Don't forget Preston.
Yeah, I was about to say, are you
I
talking
mean,
about Preston? I mean, come
yeah, I
on,
mean
mate.
Preston. To be
the
honest,
mighty Preston,
that's going to be the under-23s.
Invincibles.
I was going to say
versus
they're the other
Invincible.
Invincible.
Yeah, that's going to be the under-23s. No, I thought look in terms of the game stat. I mean, as I said, we spoke briefly about the lineup, and obviously Saka's goal. I thought from that point, I think that first was it 13 minutes or so. I thought we looked pretty strong. And then we kind of gifted Liverpool way back into the game, which really unfortunate we've conceded from a set piece because now cue all the memes that the set piece kings let in a set piece goal, but it was actually a really well worked corner from Liverpool.
Yeah.
And then at 1-1, I thought our reaction was really concerning. I thought for the next 7, 8, 9 minutes we looked absolutely awful. And Mikel Merino particularly, I thought, look, there was a horror show. I mean, there was a routine pass from Saka that he basically completely missed the ball. I expect Salah to slot that home, which thankfully he hit wide.
Went for the wrong corner, didn't he?
It was just we just looked really, really shaky and nervous in a game where I think the players, again, coming back to what I said earlier, obviously knew that this was a game that we couldn't afford to lose. It was that kind of thing, and obviously if you're in a position of winning, not to throw the game away. And I think they kind of, for want of a better turn of phrase, I think they shit the bed for a few minutes. But we kind of got ourselves back in the game and got a set piece on the right hand side, which was to become a bit of a theme. And then I thought Marino should have scored, and then looked like he banjaxed his shoulder in that movement, in that action where he sort of cleared the ball.
Yeah.
And at that point, I was like, "Oh my God, we're gonna have to get him off because he's
having
a nightmare."
I thought exactly the same.
And it seems that sort of sprung him into life because after that, I thought he was very good.
Yeah, he was solid after that. He scored a great goal and played well after that. I thought very solid. Which I think is the kind of player he's going to be for us. I think he's going to be a solid, maybe not a spectacular, but it's going to be a solid player for us.
Yeah, I was a bit disappointed with our midfield overall in the game. I thought, I don't know, I thought it was a lot of backwards passes and just, it was very, I mean, again, safety first, although understandable. I kind of was hoping for more particularly from Rice and Marino as experienced players. But I have to say, they both conjured up two moments of brilliance. Obviously, the goal, but Declan Rice put in a couple of free kicks. I think it was 2 or 3 that were absolutely superb. His delivery from set pieces. Yeah.
I disagree in the sense I thought after Liverpool got their goal, which we allowed them to get back into it, I thought after that, I thought we were really good. I thought we got control of the game and really put it on them for the next 25 minutes. And it's getting a goal to assert that pressure. It's all well and good having possession and getting in good positions, but it's making the most of that. And I think that goal Marino scored was that. The delivery from Rice was unbelievable. If that was Trent, we'd be waxing lyrical. You know, oh, he's generational and all that nonsense, right? But Declan Rice's delivery was fantastic. And
To clarify there, Dan, I thought well, I was saying I thought we were shaking. I thought we were shaking till Marino got his like injury, and then I think we took over. So yeah, I
oh
agree
yeah,
with you.
so
Dan.
yeah,
And I think
yeah,
after like 21, 22 minutes, I think there
yeah,
for the rest of the half, I think we were well on top. But yeah,
yeah.
carry away.
And
Carry on.
yeah, no, and but I'm glad we got the goal to put the stamp on that dominance, because it's all well and good having the ball and getting in good positions and stuff, but if you don't get a goal from it, as you saw in the second half, you're going in at 1-1, and Liverpool can change up and come at you. But no, I was really happy with the first half overall. I thought there was probably about 10-15 minutes weren't ideal, and Marino did have a bit of a shocker in terms of that pass. But I think, with Salah's chance, I think it was the aura of David Raya that made Salah shit his pants. That's what I think. David Raya's been fantastic, and Salah didn't want any of it, so he bottled it. That's what I personally think.
Yeah.
I mean, what's Salah ever done, really? Do you know what I mean? So,
Scored lots of goals against us, unfortunately.
yes, well done, Keith, for stating the obvious. Thanks for that.
Thanks, mate.
And,
do you know what? I will say this, and obviously we've been over refereeing decisions a lot and VAR, etc. But the amount of time that was spent on that VAR decision for Marino's goal was
Ridiculous.
Yeah, it was. I don't know. Yeah. It felt like it went on for like half an hour. I mean, I know it was probably like 2 minutes, but it felt like it went on for.
No, it was longer than
2 minutes.
That. No, it was longer than that.
Yeah.
I'm biting my tongue a bit on this. Because I don't.
Oh no, Keith! No, we don't want you to bite your tongue.
Please don't bite your tongue. No, come on, tell us what you really feel.
Yeah, tell us what you really feel.
I'll be honest. I'm going to say as it was. I think to the naked eye on the telly, that looked plainly obvious that it was a goal. And they even showed the lines on the on Sky, and you could see. I thought it was clearly onside.
Yeah, I thought it was too.
But obviously, they were looking at something. I don't know.
I mean,
apparently they were looking at like fouls and stuff like that in the build up to it, not necessarily offside. I don't know.
Just trying anything that could find to deny us the goal. I mean, I'm sorry, but if it was the other way around, and it was Liverpool, they would have been given 10 seconds after VAR check.
Do you know what the worst thing is, Keith? Is that when that happened, I was like, yeah, Keith's right.
But it's true. I mean, what other team
there's a point where if after any other team, it would be like, yeah.
Okay, look, I'm with you guys. It took way too long to get to quite an obvious decision. However, the right decision was made at the end of the day. So I don't think it matters too much if it was 30 seconds or 45 seconds or a minute. It doesn't matter, does it? The goal was given.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't think we should exert all our energies on the fact that it took an extra 30 seconds to make a clear and obvious decision. Not ideal. That's not, it's still shit. We've established that VAR is not being used properly, clearly. However, it's the right decision. We won't focus on it too much. I don't think there's any time. Any point in wasting our energies on this.
because we never ever waste our time on like fractional decisions, do we? Like, come on, Dan, that never happens.
If you want to talk about a referee,
if you want to talk about that, you've never listened to this podcast before.
If you want to talk about a referee decision, and we will. It's later on in the game.
Okay. Yeah. I think we should.
We go in. We're 2-1 up. We're all good. We come out in that second half, and I don't know what happens. It was very bitty. I think we allowed Liverpool. They changed up a little bit, but not too much. But we allowed Liverpool in that game.
Yeah.
And then Gabriel got injured.
Do you not think Liverpool? Look, they're no mugs. I mean, look, they're
define mugs.
If you look at the core of that team over the last 6 years, if you look at the core of that team over the last 6 to 8 years, they've been challenging for titles. They've been deep in the European Cup. They've won trophies. They've performed in big games. Okay, they've got a new manager. They've brought in some new players. It's not exactly the same squad of, their glory period, I suppose. But they were. I don't think they were going to come to Emirates, be bullied about for 35 minutes, and then not have a reaction from them in the second half. I think they were always going to come out and kind of lay something on us or try to. And that's exactly what they did. I think they kind of exerted a bit of pressure, and we unfortunately struggled to kind of gain a foothold. And then, as Keith already spoke about, then we got the Gabriel injury, and then I think that kind of really shook the team.
Yeah.
Really shook the stability out of the team. And that's where I really wanted Marino and Declan Rice to step up. The move I would have made, to be really honest, was to have put our best player on today's performance back into midfield, and that was Thomas Partey. I have to say, I think that was possibly his best performance. He had a great standout game, I think, away at Manchester United in one of the COVID years with him and El Neni sort of as a partnership that I'm sure Dan will wax lyrical about if he hasn't done already numerous times. But Thomas Partey in a makeshift right back, I thought he was absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
Really, really was. And I would have liked to have seen him step into midfield. It's a shame that we couldn't have had that dominance in midfield. I don't know that we'd have had the numbers or how we could have rejigged the back line. Obviously, with Lewis Skelly coming on at left back, I don't know. I'm not sure if Zinchenko was on the bench, but
He was.
yeah.
Mikel did
I think
everything in his
he's
power
carrying it.
not to bring
From
him
what I've
on.
heard, he's carrying an injury anyway.
Mikel did everything in his power not to bring him on.
Well, it does seem like that. It seems like he's got the Emil Smith Rowe curse. It's anyone but you, mate.
Yeah.
But no, I
Who was the
thought,
reserve
I would have
keeper
liked to have
today?
seen.
Go on, you can go on at left back, mate, because we're not putting on Zinchenko.
James,
Yeah,
are you
no, I would have liked to see
James, are
Partey
you
come-
suggesting we're going to sell Zinchenko to Fulham? Because that's
I think if we could sell Zinchenko to Fulham, they would probably absolutely do it.
I mean, dude.
Um,
No,
which
Anthony
is
Robinson's
crazy
really
because
good.
I have to say again, going on a bit of a tangent, but saying this to Dan the other day, I remember when we played Crystal Palace the first game of the season, not last year, but the season before, we brought in 3 new players into the team, which was Saliba returning from loan, Gabriel Jesus and Zinchenko, and they were like transformative. And I think everybody came away from that game like, whoa, we've gone up a level. But then we also had conversations that like they might be bridging players, like they'll get you into the top 4, challenging maybe for the title, but will they be able to take you on to that next step? And I think the thing that's ultimately going to be the thing that's going to cost us with those 2 players is their injury records. And Zinchenko, actually, even if you look at City, it was his injury record is what's held him back because he is a Man City player in everything. I mean, okay, yeah, people look at his defensive stability, but with the ball and as a progressive modern fullback, he is the absolute definition of what you want, right? Like, I mean, he's superb. Let's not rewrite history on him and just everyone just shit on him just because the ball he's not been so good with the ball over his back against elite wingers in the world. Okay, yeah, he got done by Leroy Sané or by Mo Salah, but most people have, mate. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, and but this team, it does feel like, in fairness to this team, where we've moved on and evolved under Mikel, it feels like we're built on defensive solidity now, rather than expansive fullbacks, and that's probably Zinchenko's a little bit more expendable in that. But yeah, going back to the original point, I was going to say, yeah, I think once the Gabriel injury took hold, I think the team lost a bit of stability, and then Liverpool really were on top then, and it felt a bit like we were trying to hang on.
Well,
Yeah.
Gabriel's a front foot defender, isn't he? He's very aggressive, and he gets you forward. He wins those balls early, and you can start attacks with that. I think you lose that impetus. I messaged in the group, and when I saw Gabriel coming off, I was like, I think we're in a bit of trouble here because any type of aggression we had, especially in defense, we lost it then. And I think that allowed Darwin Núñez to get a bit more freedom. I think Gabriel had managed him quite well before that. And then Gabriel comes off, and then Liverpool really put the pressure on. And but again, even though they did that, there was a couple of times where we had the chance to break away or keep the ball, and we were very wasteful as well. So I
feel like that's kind of the story of the season so far. We're just not clicking going forward, and when we do go forward, we're very wasteful. I think that's the story of the season so far, really. It's injuries and just not clicking going forward.
How do you guys feel about the fact that Gabriel playing on after suffering a knee injury and then having to go off, in the game after Calafiori suffered a knee injury and then carried on playing and then
You
had to
know
come
what,
off.
dude? I was thinking exactly the same thing when that happened. I was
Like
like,
it,
why is he carrying on? And now he's sitting down after having carried on, exactly the same pattern as Calafiori like a few
I
days
mean,
earlier.
I know it's
Having
not.
watched Martin Keown battle on and grit his teeth and get through games, I expect nothing less than the centre back to patch himself up, bite down on the gum shield, so to speak, and play on. Yeah,
Yeah.
look, players have a responsibility if they feel something goes to manage it. We saw it with Timber last year, didn't we? When
Mm.
he got an knee injury against Forest in the first
And
league
tried to
game of
carry
the
on
season.
playing and then went
Carried on
off.
playing, yeah, and obviously made it worse, and that eventually became an ACL. I hope that's not the case with Gabriel. I said earlier on, we hope that he's just jarred his knee. Who knows? Who knows when you've got the adrenaline? But I don't really blame him for playing on.
Mm.
I think
But it is a
yeah,
concern, though. It's a concern that that's two left-sided centre backs in two games that have now suffered
Well,
potential
that
knee
was kind of
injuries.
my point where we were talking about like, we've got like a really tough we've got a really tough backline, but they all seem to keep getting injured. Um, you know.
yeah.
Um, as
I think we're paying it back a little bit for the good luck that we had with our key players staying fit all of last year.
mm,
Honestly, Arsenal were very lucky with injuries for the most part last year, and this
Yeah.
year we just haven't been yet.
I think, yeah, looking back, I think over the last two seasons, the players that have got injured, bizarrely, and this sounds ridiculous to say this, but it's the ones you'd expect to get injured. So the ones who've had injuries throughout their careers have carried
Mm.
on that way, and then there's other players that have just been absolutely stalwarts for us. So I remember
mm,
Saliba, obviously, infamously got that injury against Sporting, and then
Ooh,
missed the end of the was it 22-23 season?
yeah.
But then
Tommy Asu went down as well in that game.
was a mainstay for every single minute last season. But yeah, I mean that Tommy Yasu's been in and out pretty much since he's joined the club. Um, Partey the same, Gabriel Jesus the same, and obviously Zinchenko the same. But other than that, we've been really really good with injuries, particularly to the real key standout guys. So Declan Rice, Bukayo Saka, Martin Odegaard. Although Martinelli got a bit of an injury last season, I don't know. It's a strange one, isn't it? I think sometimes it feels like everything's conspiring against you, and sometimes it feels like everything's going for you. It's one of those things. Um, yeah, I really think that that with the injuries, I remember with I think was it 2001 too? We had two ACLs in the same season, Van Bronckhorst and not Van Persie, Robert Pires. Um, and I just desperately hope that we're not in that situation with Gabriel and Calafiori. Because that would be hard to recover from. But yeah, what can you do? Injuries are part of football. We're not the first team to suffer.
Yeah.
That's why you have a big squad, and we won't be the last. And it's how you overcome it. That's what you've got to do, right? That's how you manage it. Um, there might have been, I think, look, obviously we conceded the goal. Salah got his obligatory goal. If it wasn't going to be Diego Jota, it was going to be Salah, right?
mm.
Um, I don't know if you thought there was any contentious refereeing decisions within that last 25 minutes that you want to speak about, but overall, from my perspective, I was quite happy with that point.
Mm.
I thought that like most people going into that game, I thought it was a must not lose. I don't think Liverpool are any great shakes. I don't see them as anything massively to worry about. I think we can recover those points in the season. I think they will certainly drop points. They've obviously already lost to Forest. I mean, they've been pretty decent thereafter. Um, I still think City will be our challenge, but I back us. I think, look, 9 games in, we've played a lot of tough fixtures. Obviously, we've got another three hard ones on the horizon. But yeah, generally speaking, I think with a bit of a patched up, moved around team, I'm quite happy with how we've managed the game so far. And I think this first half of the season, I think very much like last season, I think you've got to get to January, around about FA Cup time, and be within 5 points of the top and position yourself really well. And then that's where you kick on in the second half. I think it's old school
Mm.
mentality. But
Oh no,
yeah,
definitely. I also
I was quite positive with the result.
mm,
Performance bit disappointed because I thought in the second half we could have, I said, controlled it a bit more. I think our bigger players could have shown a bit more character in midfield. But otherwise, yeah, I thought there was a lot of positives to take from the game.
We are only 3 points behind where we were after 9 games last year. Considering the amount of setbacks we've had and just things not going our way, that's really not that much of a drop off. It's been a hard run of games. We've had a lot of injuries. We've had to play quite a few of these games, large amounts of them with 10 men.
Well, I was going to mention that anyway, is the
Tensions.
fact, we some of those games that you kind of want to get out of the way anyway. So we've got Man City away out of the way. We've got Spurs away out of the way. We've got Liverpool at home out of the way. So, it seems like we've been dealt better cards, I suppose, because we could be facing those teams at the end of the season, and nobody wants that.
Yeah, I see your point. I do see,
Yeah.
glass half full, not empty. I just think I mentioned in the chat earlier the sense of it was a bit of a weird feeling I felt as a fan today. I think it's mainly because the last 2 seasons we've been so many highs, we've been playing so well, we've got lucky injuries a lot of the time. I think this start of the season just become a bit of a slog with lots of injuries. The attack's not quite clicking. We're really, really missing Odegaard, and I just think we just need to grind, like James said, just grind it out till January and then push on from there. Just hopefully we can put 4 or 5 wins together instead of 2 wins and a draw, a win and a draw. Yeah, just need.
That is football though, Keith, right?
Yeah.
This is not your first rodeo.
Oh,
You've
no.
watched the league season before. I know Man City are this unstoppable juggernaut, it seems, but we've got to stop going into this worries me kind of thing. Liverpool have posted, what is it, a 97-point season they posted and still didn't win the league. Like, it does happen. And we haven't got to that. We had a really good season last season, points total wise, and goal scoring wise. I still think we've got to keep faith with this. We're moving in the right direction. The team's bubbling along nicely. We're 9 games in.
If I can comment on what Keith just said, I've just comment on what Keith just said about the last 2 seasons, especially if you go back to the season before last, it was all very emotional. Like, we could have won the league that season, right? The fact we didn't is, neither
could have won it last season.
Well, exactly.
Could have won it last season.
But no, you're right. But
it came a bit out of nowhere because we came from challenging for top 4 and then put a title challenge. I get that.
But I think, and I understand Keith's frustrations, but I think a lot of this is now, it's just like, listen,
no, maybe frustration is the wrong word. It's just like last season, 2 seasons have been up high, we've been emotionally very, very high. I just think this season has brought people down to earth a bit. It's a bit
without
of a
wanting to put words in your mouth. Would you say it's just the expectation has shifted?
Yeah.
Dan, what do you think on that? We had a conversation about this in expectation. Where are you at? You like to think of yourself as the voice of reason, so the floor is yours.
Yeah, I think the fan base is atrocious and they're all miserable bastards. I'm absolutely fed up of the atmosphere at the Emirates being rubbish now because we have expectations. It's ridiculous. Today, they might have been up for it because there was some jeopardy, there was some risk to this game. But the better we are, the expectation level rises and the fan base are expectant. And instead of just cheering on the team no matter what, they're expecting things now and not getting behind the team. And it's winding me up. I don't think we're any worse than we were last season. I think there's context to where we are and why we're here. Injuries, hard running, whatever it is. But I don't think we should get despondent. I don't think we should throw in the towel. It's 9 games in, everyone needs to chill out.
Did you notice that during the Shakhtar game? Because on TV, it sounded like it was like that. It was like the fans were just expecting, they weren't making a noise to cheer the team on. They were just sitting there expecting the team to make them cheer first.
Well, yeah, I missed 10 minutes of the game bitching about that because I was just saying that the fan base is annoying me. And bearing in mind, I just got over flu, so my throat was really bad, so I couldn't sing or do anything myself.
We do know why that was, though, don't we? It's because nobody understands the fucking Champions League groups. That's why. No one's got a clue what's going on.
I mean, I
Graham,
do.
What did I say to you about
Graham.
that? What did I
do-
say to you?
Listen, I do,
Wait.
James. I do, James, and I'm not going over it again.
You said on a podcast prior to this
It's
one.
really
and
straightforward.
I quote, it's really straightforward. I really enjoy it. Yeah, actually, I'm not enjoying the games. I don't even bother watching the highlights anymore. I just find it a bit meh.
Oh no!
You contradicted yourself in the same sentence.
No,
Contradiction.
sorry. If I may.
Anyway,
if I may,
Mr. Captain Contradiction.
If I may,
Dan was talking.
If I
Dan,
may,
go back to it.
No. If I may, I watch the Arsenal highlights. I just don't watch the rest of them anymore.
Yeah, so the champions. So therefore, the Champions League as a competition is no better off then.
My whole point is, does it matter? Does it matter who we're playing against? Doesn't matter why. If you go to watch the Arsenal, you go and support your team.
You've only come to see the Arsenal. Come to see the Arsenal.
It doesn't matter who you're playing. You go there and you support your team and you get behind them no matter who they're playing. That's my point. It shouldn't matter if it's Shakhtar or Southampton or Liverpool or Man United. You should have the same energy, same support, whatever game it is. You've paid your money to go and support your team. Bloody support them. And now the expectations level has risen again. People are now expectant, and it's one of that's pretentious, mate. It's fucking awful. And do you know what? We need to improve as a fan base. That's what I'm saying, and not bitch and moan and all doom is gloom and the world's ending because we got a draw or something like that.
Heath,
would you like to come in on that?
I can't agree more with Dan, really. I think
Thanks, mate. Cheers.
a lot of fans have got a bit expectations, and the Shakhtar game was really weird, and I think the team felt it. And you could say maybe the team wasn't playing well, and that's why the crowd wasn't gone. But the crowd should be a bit more behind the team. And I just think it's like I said, it's the whole this start of the season. Expectations are we're not playing great. I think a lot of fans are really not despondent. Maybe that's too strong a word, but they're feeling a bit. Like I said, the last 2 seasons, the highs and now the lows. But then sometimes we got some great fans, and then sometimes, like every other team, they have some bad fans. I mean, I'm born we beat Bournemouth, that Nelson last-minute winner. People were leaving like 5 minutes to go, 10 minutes to go in that game. I mean, they missed the Nelson wonder goal that won us the game against Bournemouth. I mean, admittedly, it was a few months ago now.
Was that the one where you got punched in the face?
No, someone, Dan's mate,
during the celebration of that goal,
elbowed me in the back of the head.
You got hit in the face.
Dan's mate. I paid him to do that. That wasn't even.
But I mean,
even to do anything with the goal, but he managed to.
People
nick
do
one
leave. People do leave
if
games
if a
when
goal happens, then
people do leave games when
to
they.
be fair though, that happens for every club and every team and whatever. I don't think that can be something just leveled at Arsenal.
No, I'm not just saying it's just like Arsenal.
One thing though, maybe it's worth pointing out. So maybe we say about the expectations changed. Maybe rightly so. Have we ever considered maybe what I'm pretty sure that Josh and Stan Kroenke probably feel like the expectation has risen. Some of the fan base would feel it probably has. My season ticket has gone up by 3% this year. I'm watching. Well, you were laughing, but I'm watching £105 million midfielder in Declan Rice, £60 million on Mikel Merino, £50 million on Thomas Partey, £50 million on Ben White. Was it 35 million on Gabriel? 30 million on Saliba.
60 million down the drain.
60 million on Kai Havertz. Exactly. This is quite an expensively assembled team. We've gone through the whole. Let's buy a goalkeeper. Let's sell Emi Martinez. Let's sell Bern Leno. Let's buy a goalkeeper. Let's sell a goalkeeper. Let's buy another goalkeeper to land on David Raya. This is a very expensively assembled squad. As Dan said, this is the 5th year of Mikel Arteta now. He's bedded the team in. He's got a style of play. We've got one of the outstanding young talents in Europe in Bukayo Saka. Is there not right that there's an expectation on this Arsenal team and that now is the time to deliver and actually win something tangible?
I don't think my point was that there isn't an expectation. Of course there is. It's what you do with that expectation. Do you wait for things to happen, or does the expectation can you manage that expectation by actually supporting the team and getting behind them, like, and pushing them towards that expectation instead of expecting it? Push them towards it. Support the team as opposed to, well, I expect this to happen, so I'm not going to do anything until it happens. It makes no bloody sense. You're supporting a football team. You push them on. You're meant to be the 12th man and all that cliche bollocks. Like, do it. Do you know what I mean? Don't get to a certain level and have this expectation. It doesn't matter who you're playing, what competition it is. You should be behind your team, cheering and screaming. You shouldn't have to wait for them to do something to get you off your chair. You should be already off your chair.